What's up, folks? Let's summarize lessons 3 for the masterclass that Deadmau5 is doing right now. So I want to share with you what I learned from that class. It's not word for word or anything, and it's my interpretation. It's totally biased, probably. Could have made a mistake or two, but here it is. Just so we talk about it, figure out what the best thing out of that was. I do want to say that the videos are kind of like a conversation. So imagine talking to him, right, for like 5 minutes. That's a video. What would he say, right? He would say a bunch of things, and you would just be like looking at him and just thinking, huh, okay, wait, what, right? Like that's kind of what happens in the video. So when I'm watching the video, I'm like making notes just to remind myself what he just said. Just, what the heck did he just say? And I'm trying to take those notes, and then I'm actually trying to do something with them, because I'm gonna forget it all unless I actually do something with it. So it's my way of remembering this thing. Okay, so I'll start with 4 because I didn't. Okay, I'm gonna go back and do lesson 3, but lesson 4. So lesson 4, I didn't get anything out of that. Literally, I've got to take a look at that again. It was all about hardware and all that kind of stuff. But I think the main point that I got out, which he repeated like I think 10 times, which was like get an external audio processor. I have one laying around called the VX400, and it's like a vocal processor, and it's got a preamp in there and everything. So I have got to do a lot more research before I could ever figure out what the heck to do there. Right now, I'm not really sure what to get or what to do there. So and why even do I need it, right? As I mentioned in my prior videos, I try to be very, very, very light in terms of what equipment I have. I believe that you can do great music with the littlest amount of equipment. And I get it. I'm not going to make music that sounds amazing, right? Because it's passed through a filter or something that's crazy expensive. It's passed through a hardware equipment which is created by that guy that lives on that mountain. I don't care. I don't have that time right now. What I need to focus on is ideas, building ideas to fruition, and making sure that from an idea perspective, from a complexity of a chord progression, from a melody perspective, it sounds good. You know what I mean? So I don't think I'm even there yet. So I need to work on the actual core of music first before I talk about mixing and mastering and getting really good at that, and having like 5-6 synths lying around and all that stuff. I can't get there right now. So that's what I got out of that, the hardware chat, which is nothing. And it was just like womp 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 womp. Knobs are fun. Womp womp womp. It really, like, that's what I heard. So I couldn't tell you. You have to probably talk to somebody else about that one, or maybe in the future I'll come back to that one. Okay, going back to 3, lesson 3. This was a really good one. So he was talking about chord progressions and things like that. Some of this was repeated in the earlier class, I suppose, but he essentially starts with his way of doing things is he starts with the root note. He creates the basic melody, basic chord progression or melody line. So he creates a chord progression and then figures out what a melody line should be based on that chord progression. He then layers so he creates a base chord progression. He creates a counter melody against that. I need to do more research on that word, but when I make a melody that goes along with the bass line or something, I'm not thinking counter melody, but I know I need to figure that out and go back and learn that. So homework for you, go research counter melody. Another big tip he had was be really familiar with your tools. So you know how there's like, you go online, and then if you can't think of something to create, and you start taking like lessons for your DAW or for your VST, you start taking like Ableton Live lessons, thinking that'll improve your music. Well, it can, because you may not use a lot of what is said in a tutorial video for your DAW, but if you know how to use those tools, it's just a faster process. Okay, so dial in your process, meaning you shouldn't have to like. Here's what you should have to do to get up to speed to write something down like a chord progression. Open your laptop, type in your password, launch your DAW, and maybe drag one VST in. Like, that's it. You should be able to start working in those few steps. Okay, so if you have to fiddle around and do a bunch of things, and then I don't know, go feed the dog, come back, and then set some settings on your thing, and then pick the right sound. No. You've got to dial in the right sound. So like, for example, the way I have it, when I create a new MIDI track, it automatically puts a piano in there. Right? I know that I'm going to want a freaking piano every single time, and I put it automatically in there. I don't even want to think about what the hell goes in there first. I want to put a piano in there first. I want to put the notes down, and then worry about what goes in there in terms of what VST to use. Okay, so that's kind of like the big tip he said in terms of knowing your DAW and knowing your tools. Now this is interesting, right? He just said it in one sentence, but what I took out of it was, so let's say if you have a you have an empty track, okay. First of all, the DAW itself has an interface. You should know everything like copy pasting, joining clips, separating clips, creating a new track with the keyboard shortcut, right? Going into edit mode or something for your piano roll with one key, right? Whatever. Like something that just makes it faster for you. Learn all those little shortcuts, okay? And use them, right? So do that, and then when you drag a VST in, then make sure that you sort of learn that VST, right? When I got into this habit of just, okay, here's like many different type of things that I could use. All right, which one should I use, right? I literally was like, it was just paralysis because I had everything to look at, and I got rid of all of it, just everything. I said delete it all, and I literally said, okay, what do I gotta do? I gotta go get the right DAW. Okay, got Ableton Live, and I said, okay, I need to get a VST that is versatile enough and sounds good enough. I did a bunch of research, picked Serum. Okay, so got that, and then I said, hey, I also want to get like an analog sound, right? But like I said in my prior videos, I don't like having giant equipment, although I wouldn't mind like like those Moog Minotaurs or something, or like a Mother 32, or like I wouldn't mind playing around with those. Like I like that stuff, but I'm saying I want to be, from a creation perspective, I want to be mobile. I want to do that 1000%. So I wanted to figure out how could I get close to the analog sound. I picked a VST called Diva, D-I-V-A, by Yuhi, and it was on sale, I believe, for like one time, and I literally just said, okay, that's it, buying it, boom, bought it. It's so awesome, that thing. I love that thing. It's just got it's got such a warm sound. I love it. Serum, I went through and did like so many tutorials. I went through an entire structured class for Serum online and learned every little piece of it. I'm gonna go back and like redo some other class to make sure I learn every single piece of it. Okay. My battery's low. I'm gonna plug this in. 1 second. There we go. So that's the idea. When you bring something into your universe of, music, I guess, learn it. Don't just slap it on there and just be like, let me turn the knob and see what happens. Just learn it. So that's what I took out of it. When you drop an EQ from Ableton Live's, basic effects or whatever, audio effects and stuff, learn that EQ. Learn what each knobs do. When you put a compressor on your track, learn what a compressor is. Learn what it does. Don't just twist knobs, right? But not all at the same time. I get it. I'm in the same exact boat where I've learned a lot. I would say I've learned 80% to Serum. I've got to go deeper and learn the 20%. I haven't started learning the Diva VST yet, and that's my next one to do. But yeah, so that's the idea, right? Like you have to sort of get into your thing, get under the hood, just know every little thing about this thing, and so you can experiment with it. It's really great to know like one thing really well, one VST really well, than to know like 10,000 and everything. You just drop them on there because you like, oh well, let me just try this. Right, I get it, but it's just good to know a bit more about exactly the equipment and the things you have. Okay, so that was his point. So let's see what else. So and then he was kind of working out things like he was showing how he goes from a chord progression. He lays down the basic notes, and then to figure out what the next note should be, he's literally playing it and trying to hear it out. He doesn't use music theory that much. I mean, for example, he was saying the 7th and the 5th. Those are music theory words, concepts, but he wasn't using the 7th and the 5th. I mean, it's kind of odd, but whatever. I just said, okay, it doesn't matter. This is not a music theory class. He was using that the arpeggiator. He was using something called the little dial that, what's it called? Shoot, it goes up like by half steps, I think. It says ST on it, I think. But anyways, he was dialing up to like 5, calling that a 5th. Yeah, but anyways, so it doesn't matter because he's not teaching music theory. He's teaching his way of doing things, and I totally love the whole process. So, okay. I just put a tip for myself that he tends to use a lot of 4s, 7s, 9s, so he kind of makes the chords a lot more lush, and so I just kind of observed what he was doing. Okay, let's see. Also, he says pick a drum loop that you need. Pick a drum loop and put it on there as you're working on the melody, to sort of have something to go against the melody, meaning having a drum loop and then kind of going around, making a melody or a chord progression around that stuff. So have some type of a thing other than a metronome, right? So that's what I always use a metronome, but I get what he's saying. If you have a drum loop playing, then at least there's something to work with, right? This won't be the final drum pattern. This won't be, and actually maybe you shouldn't use like Vengeance loops and things like that. I have in the past, like in every song, I think, but it's not good. And I think part of me taking this class is to get off that crutch and to be able to use my own loops and that I create, create my own loops and create new ideas and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, but don't be still use them, but know that you'll be replacing them with something else. Okay, so and then he talks about creating like a sub bass or a bass sound. With you take your chord progression and you pitch the bottom notes down, and then he was just doing that on screen. So there's nothing fancy there. Also, he talked about a really cool way of creating melodies, where you put a drone voice in the back. So a drone voice is like something a note that is played in the back, where the idea is just to have the root note playing in the back end, okay? And then you layer stuff on top of that. What that does to your ear is you can't really make a mistake because you're always thinking about the root note because it's playing in the back, right? You're always thinking about it. And it's funny because I said, okay, let me go try that. I created my first melody out of that class, and I posted it, and he actually replied saying, now take the root note out and make a better melody. Like, in literally, like, in that's what I heard in my ears. Like, he was like, good job. Now take the root out, the drone out, and make the second part of that melody, you moron. I'm like, oh, thanks, man. For replying to my stupid melody post, but yeah, that was kind of funny. All right, so this is what I created when I heard him talk about the drone part, just to sort of figure out what he was saying. Let's see if it even runs. So you hear that drone in the back. I hope the sound is working. There's a drone in the back. So it's simple. Just a chord progression with velocity. Meaning it's not just like clanking out chords at like 127 velocity. None of that. Just a relaxing little first thing that I made. Don't judge me, bro. Don't judge me. Alright, well anyways, that's what I posted. And then I took the same drone. I believe I modified the drone with the same concept, and I tried to make some kind of atmospheric stuff with that. Sounds kind of different. So go work on some melodies, put a drone in the back, and see what you come up with. It's a great way to figure out maybe what you should lay down if you have no idea about music theory. Alright, have fun.